What new thing did you learn about yourself while quarantined? Took me until now to realize that I had no real hobbies. My life had essentially revolved around working and passing the time until it was time to get back to work. Now that I've got all this time on my hands, I've been trying some different things, but we'll see if anything sticks. I have the opposite problem, monsieur. I learned that I have so many hobbies I'll never satisfactorily master any of them if I don't dedicate more time to them, monsieur. Coincidentally, I also realized that I really don't like my job, the attainment of which was the principal pursuit of my life up until now, and to which I am economically tied because of the debt I took on to get that. My daily lifestyle is called quarantine. It just became more socially acceptable. I've been practicing my whole life for this, that social media was a bad thing for my mental health, that I can wake up and start working hard in 2 minutes. That's a fucking talent. Not new, but it reinforced to my wife and I that we are very happy with our decision to not have kids. That my life is so boring that it doesn't change with the quarantine. That I'm a closeted workaholic and can't wait to go back. It's not even a dream job of mine. Just miss my kitchen family. That and my roommates are not my kind of people after a certain amount of time. You sound like my son. He will get ready for work a half hour early and just sit on the edge of the sofa and wait like a lunatic. I don't know where the hell he got it from, monsieur. Certainly not me. He's like a golden retriever. Gotta have his walkies or he goes nuts. I learned that a worldwide pandemic and shutdown of all non-essential businesses does not faze me in the slightest. I can cook in and it doesn't take half as much time as I thought it did. I have an 8-pack underneath my flab. I wanted to save money because I assume the quarantine's gonna get the economy wrecked. I've been on a low-calorie diet since early March and been doing home exercises from YouTube to keep busy. Now if I flex real hard I could see shadows of an 8-pack on my belly. How much the weather affects my mood. I live in a rural area with a decent-sized yard, so I can spend plenty of time outside. However, these past couple months have been so cold and rainy that there have been entire weeks without setting foot outdoors, and it makes me mentally miserable. It's as though it rains for 4 days straight and my will to live is sucked out of me. I guess with normal everyday life going on I never really noticed, but now I definitely do. This quarantine period has helped me realize how far I've come in managing my depression. I've struggled with depression since I was in middle school. That means I've spent nearly 2 decades grappling with intense periods of sadness and not wanting to live anymore. 2 summers ago, I had the worst episode of my depression I've ever experienced. It didn't feel tied to anything particular, though I had recently lost my job and ended an unhealthy relationship. I not only lost the will to live, but I also lost sight of any meaning to life. I developed this irrational belief that if I disappeared, everything else would cease to exist. That time was dark for me. I voluntarily checked myself into a mental health facility and began seeing a therapist frequently. I barely held on to my job and felt like my life was in shambles. But during that rock-bottom moment, I realized I had 2 choices. Live in it forever or do the work to get myself out of it all. I chose the latter and began doing what I needed to help with my depression. I have to give a lot of credit to my therapist, but I also spent a long time being single. I got to know myself a lot better and learned what I really enjoyed doing, not what I thought everyone else would enjoy. I reached out to friends I had lost touch with. Sadly, the whole ordeal also meant I lost friends too. Now that I'm spending days upon days physically removed from my friends and working from home, I've realized how far I've come with my depression. I don't feel the same heavy dread I once felt when I was unsure about my future or having a bad day. I no longer feel the warning signs that my depression is coming back. Though everything is set up perfectly for my depression to rear its ugly head again, it's not, and I give myself credit for that. It was all because I did the hard work when things were at their worst. Being introverted doesn't automatically mean wanting to be on your own all of the time. I'm introverted. I don't like big groups or busy places. But I definitely enjoy seeing a friend one-on-one or in small groups if they're people I know well. I've missed that a lot. That I have become a crazy bird lady. I spend hours sitting outside watching my painted buntings and cardinals play and eat right by each other. I've watched my blue jays scare everyone off, while the woodpeckers squawk off in the distance. I've noticed that I live in an incredibly beautiful, lively place and I'm fortunate for it. I have seen a downy woodpecker, a yellow warbler, the house finch, and my cardinals. I also have a couple red-winged blackbirds this year. I hear the blue jays, but I don't see them this year. I get all kinds of sparrows and finches in my yard. The starlings and grackles keep the crows out. I happen to like crows, and the family in my neighborhood gives warning calls when the seagulls are around. I also see hawks and turkey vultures circling. They rarely land in the yard though. That sounds lovely actually. No one likes me back. Hi name brother. I found a threshold for masturbation quite early on, whereas before I thought I had none. I'm happier just watching the news one day a week. Everything else is NSFW. Absolutely. It's important to stay informed to some extent, but there's something extremely unhealthy about absorbing bad news that you have no power to change on a daily basis. Honestly, a lot. I learned that I'm afraid my friends only really like me when I'm on. I tend to isolate when I'm depressed, and I realized it's because I'm afraid that if people see me when I'm off, they won't like me as much anymore. Your true friends will like you as you are, whether on or off. They'll care that you have balance and be yourself. It made me realize that too much of my life is dedicated to work, not actually working. Just prepping for, going to or coming from work. I don't actually work that much. But this ass in chair for 40 hours a week is bullshit. Plus commute, plus cook eat, plus workout. All so you can not be late for work. Or late to bed so that you can sleep so that you can go to work. I've noticed the airplanes not taking off and flying overhead, more than I noticed when they did. And I don't like the quietness. That I can quit smoking cigarettes. That boredom is probably the bigger killer. When I'm not going to be around other people, my hygiene is poor at best. Still brush my teeth and splash some water in my face. But showering? Nah. I am an introvert, but I actually need my friends. Python. Does it bite? That my ADHD is almost unbearable at home. Amen, brother. I thought quarantine would be great. I have a job that is easily convertible to WFH. In fact, our overall billing to clients went up 11% during the quarantine. That being said, I am absolutely not suited for WFH. The home with my family is the best place I could ever be. Myso and I could never share a cubicle. I learned that I suck at falling asleep. I have to lay down for hours until I doze off. Usually I just overwork myself and black out of exhaustion. 2 things. Asterisk that I actually like bodyweight exercises a lot. The makeshift bar I have has been a great source of entertainment and joy. Not to mention feeling my back actually engaged in effort for the first time. Asterisk that I've been too slow to start my professional life. I'm the typical young adult that still hasn't figured out what to do. Since I'm bilingual, I've been considering translation work. But I didn't start until now, when thousands of people are also interested in working a job that can be done remotely. That I like playing GTA 5. I will be gutted when I've completed it. I can't study at home. I really miss my dad. Before quarantine I saw him all the time. He's a tough man to be around, and yes, there are things I said to him I regret. He's deaf with Parkinson's, so a phone video call is not really helpful. I didn't realize how much I love that old asshole. How much I miss stupid things like grocery shopping. I suited up for my first time at Costco in over a month, and it was like getting excited to go to Disneyland, only more stressful, and I had to disinfect all of my souvenirs. That my job is not close to a 10-hour-a-day commitment. I have a family. There are some small people running around all day that apparently are my children. I am far more patient than my wife when it comes to the kids. I hate people a lot more now. Community is a huge part of what I enjoy in exercise. I have started admiring the outer space even more now. Stargazing is something that I do every night now. I just sit in my balcony for hours and just match and find constellations. It's just so satisfying. And the visibility has drastically improved because of the lower pollution levels. Without work right in front of me, I will never do anything. That when given the chance I will binge Netflix. Also that I'm lactose intolerant. I hate people. I love alone times. I only have 2 to 3 friends, and my best friend never was a friend. How I am so used to living like this. I never get invited to anything and I'm never able to go out places. I'm always inside. My life has been like this for 3 years and there's no difference. Other than school being cancelled. And I fucking hate school, so I'm glad I'm enjoying myself. The human body can survive off of Doritos, Cheetos, and sparkling water for 3 days. 42. So long, and thanks for all the fish. How much I can save by not going to a bar, restaurant every week. Not exactly about myself, but that hair bleach itches a ton. Hair dye feels pretty nice. And I look pretty cool with blue hair. Other than that, I've known everything about myself that I may have learned otherwise. I reconnected with a sense of self. Now that I'm back to work, I realize how much of myself I lose to this job. I have to suppress my values because they aren't aligned with the company's values. I spent a large portion of my time off learning through online courses. Cooking, growing herbs, actually having a life in pursuit of my interests. All my energy now goes back into a job that refuses to train me for advancement because the owner doesn't like to teach. He prefers taking several vacations a year while I watch his shop. I could legally go back to self-isolating and making more money than I'm paid at work. But I'm back here even though we don't have a job lined up. All because my boss believes the Democrats want to stop us from working purely for a sense of power. And now I feel guilty for wanting to put myself first. Because we've fetishized making personal sacrifices for the sake of somebody else's profits. I learned to be happy. And that taught me why I should be angry. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.